Well, today was the release of Christopher Nolan's Tenet on Blu-ray. I got the 4K Blu-ray right here, the Steelbook edition. I'm very excited to watch this again. I've seen this twice in the theater. I did a short review on it, my first impressions on it. I'll put a link to to that somewhere here in the video, and you can check that out. But this is not about Tenet again. While we're on the Nolan thing, I figured this is a good time to get into a really great Nolan film called Dunkirk, which came out in 2017, and we're going to get into that right here on Film Fan. Hey, welcome to Film Fan, my channel where I discuss all things film related, and movies, my passion for movies. If that is also your thing, hit that subscribe button below and that little notification bell so you know when I put up new content and you don't miss anything. All right, so let's get right into it. I'm going to tell you something. I actually did a take of this video before this one, about half an hour ago. I did a take of this video and I realized that it was like far too long and I was ranting and I was kind of like, when I watched it back, I was like, all right, I got to do this video again because I went in way too hard. I was addressing issues when it comes to the film about some critics' takes on this film and how people feel about the film and the negative reviews. And I was kind of going in on it. And I was like, you know what? I don't need this video to be that long. And I don't want to rant at people. And I don't want to make this angry film fan episode where I'm going in on people. And I don't want to become that guy. So decided to start over. And here we are. So, Christopher Nolan did a film 2017 called Dunkirk. This is a true story that takes place in 1940 during World War II, where 400,000 troops, I believe it was 100,000 French troops, and 300,000 British soldiers all got stranded in Dunkirk, France, North France, in Dunkirk on the beach. And they're surrounded by German soldiers. And this is a story about the efforts to get the soldiers home. That is pretty much the whole story. Cinematography is done by Hoyte van Hoytema. It is absolutely exhilarating to watch. I saw this movie and I made mention of it long before I had a film channel. I talked about it in my social media posts about seeing this multiple times in a theater on the big screen as it was intended to be seen. Christopher Nolan, as usual, went through the painstaking process of shooting this on 65mm and 70mm IMAX cameras, these huge, heavy cameras, to get these beautiful shots. This is a film that's told from three different perspectives, from land, sea, and air. Tom Hardy plays one of the pilots, and it's just a beautiful picture to look at. Not a whole lot of color. It's mostly blues and the browns from the uniforms and such, but just absolutely vivid in its cinematography and exhilarating because it puts you right into the action, which brings me to the actual story. Dunkirk is a film that it's a true story. So if you're English and you grew up in England, you probably heard this story before. It's this tale that's told to children about this magical story about all of these soldiers that were there stranded on a beach and how the citizens were called upon to actually try to get them out from where they were. They were stranded and they were trying to get them. So citizens with smaller boats, little boats went out, like private citizen boats went out, civilian boats, to get these kids off the beach. And that's what the entire movie is about, which brings me to the actual review and discussion about the film and why I think it's a masterpiece of cinema. It's a very straightforward World War II story, but it's an original World War II story. Again, if you're not English and you don't know the story, then this is a brand new thing for you because you don't really know this, right? And it's not about anything other than the idea or the actual true events of getting these soldiers off of a beach. There's no subplots. There's not a whole lot of, there's actually zero where you identify with one character or two characters, or get to know a character, or get to know that one character is from Brooklyn and another one is from Staten Island and one is from here. Actually, they're French and English soldiers, so they wouldn't be from Staten Island, wouldn't be from Brooklyn. But you get my point, okay? There's no one discussing where they're from and whether they have a girlfriend and how they're doing and when they're going to see their dog. There's none of that in this film. And to me, that's a highlight. That's not a bad thing. You get the critics and the conversations I've had with people who didn't like the film. Their chief complaint is that there's no connection to one of the characters, or there's no real story there. So I was left flat. Well, realistically, my take on that is, if you look at war and you look at a situation like that, I feel that everyone in this situation, the 400,000 troops that were there, were one. Going through a war, they're all going through the same thing. They have the same emotions. They're all, in peril, and they're all trying to get home. And that, for me, is what the whole thing's about. It's not about one character. It's not about one guy. It's not about one guy's quest to make it through the war and get back to his mom and dad and take over the store. It's not about that. It's Nolan's depiction. It's Nolan putting you in the action of what took place with these soldiers trying to get home. That's all it is. And it immerses you in that action. It puts you on the beach with those soldiers and makes you feel like, wow, this is like mind-blowing. Like, what would this feel like? And it accomplishes that in every single way. This is not a empty, action-driven CGI sort of green screen film with a lot of explosions and car chases and bullshit that's kind of empty, but you appreciate the car chases and bullshit, right? That's not what this is. Nolan really, as usual, committed filmmaker. He's an artist. He's committed and he's passionate about his craft, so much to the point where this is not CGI. This is not CGI chips in a tank somewhere. This is not fakery. It's not trickery. This is like practical stuff that's being done. The work that was done with the cameras and what they had to do to rig cameras onto planes and to make things happen and show you the perspective is truly art, and it is cinema at its finest. And that's what you appreciate about this film. You appreciate being brought into the action, brought into that world, brought into that beach with those soldiers, and you feel like, holy shit, how am I getting out of here? And that's what this film does brilliantly. If you're looking for a movie that has multiple subplots about a couple of soldiers who did this and did that and how they are taking on the war and their perspective on things, that's not what this is. But that doesn't make this a bad film. You kind of have to be batshit crazy or just a real hater to say that it's not a great masterpiece of cinema. If you love cinema and you love film, and you get that sensation, that thrill of being in your seat and watching a really good movie play out, and you can appreciate that the filmmaker took his time to really make you feel like you're there, then you appreciate Dunkirk. You'll appreciate this, and you won't mind the fact that you're not connecting with one character or another character. The score, as usual, is done by Hans Zimmer, who works with Nolan on just about everything, and it is insane. I mean, it's Hans Zimmer at some of his finest work. The music, I actually have a couple of the tracks. I haven't stopped listening to the score since it came out. And two of the tracks, one of them called Supermarine, the other one called The Oil, I use those two are on like my workout playlist because they're just intense pieces of music. And Zimmer, Nolan's film company, production company called Syncope is actually from syncopation, which is like music that is off note or meant to not quite be right, something like that. That's where Syncope comes from. His father gave him the idea, the name of his company Syncope, but it's actually rooted in music. So the relationship with Nolan and Zimmer and the essence of music playing such a major part in Nolan's films, and at times doing more than just scoring the film in terms of they literally score the film. They are the underlying almost sound effects of the film. There's a visual and audio thing going on, and Nolan, Hoyte van Hoytema, and Hans Zimmer, that combination of elements just makes for an incredible viewing experience. So Dunkirk is my latest recommendation here on Film Fam. It's a brilliant film to look at if you appreciate cinema. That's all I'm going to say. If you've seen this movie, let me know in the comments your thoughts below. Let me know if you think I'm batshit crazy or you actually loved it as much as I did. Let's talk about the 4K Blu-ray for a second. The 4K Blu-ray is presented. It is absolutely beautiful to look at. It is reference quality home video. It is the detail in the soldiers' uniforms and the helmets, and the detail in Tom Hardy's helmet and stuff inside the cockpit of the plane, every little detail, the instrument panel, the underwater scenes, the scenes that are in the water, and the oil and the fire and the tankers on the beach, all the little details stand out, and it's just beautiful to look at. The audio is DTS HD 5.1. It's not Dolby Atmos, but that's intentional effort by Christopher Nolan because he wanted it to sound like that, and it does sound immersive. It just has the gunfire that just comes from like around you is great. So this is, again, reference quality audio and reference quality video for the 4K Blu-ray. So if you can pick this up and you're a collector, you should definitely own this disc. If you haven't seen it, please, I mark my words, go see this. If you missed it in the theaters, it's a shame. This is a movie when it came out. Again, I talked about it and said that you need to see this in the theater to really, truly appreciate what it's about. If you watch it at home, again, keep in mind, this is a movie with one simple story, and it's meant to take you through that ride, and it does a fantastic job of doing that. So that's it for me here on Film Fan. All right. If you like this video, hit the like button there. Really appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done that already. And again, if you let me know your thoughts on Dunkirk, go ahead and comments and just tell me how you feel. All right. Again, remember something about movies. If you haven't seen a movie and it's 15 years old, 20 years old, 25 years old, 50 years old, if you've never seen it, it's a brand new movie to you. So go ahead and watch it. Watch the movies, find yourself in the movies, lose yourself in the movies. Love the movies. I'll see you on the next Film Fan.